Domain has exceeded the maximum differs and failures per hour. A very weird message that is popping up in your inbox. If you're receiving this message and you're wondering why you're receiving it, please continue this video. Don't forget to like and share if you're following me on Facebook and subscribe if you're following me on YouTube. My name is Wael Azmi, and that's the topic of this video. Before running into the details, I'm going to explain this in a more simpler approach. I want you to imagine that you have a friend called Adam and you're gonna call this friend on their phone. Now imagine after calling Adam, you're asking the person who answered the phone on the other side, "Can I speak to Adam?" And that person replies that it's a wrong number and there is no Adam in this address. At this point, should I try this number again or should I just give up? Well, normally people just give up in this kind of situation.
Let's put this in a scenario where you're sitting on your computer and you're sending an email. When you sit on your computer to send an email, that email goes out from your computer to a server responsible for serving your emails. Your server will then fetch the recipient's server and route your email to that server. The receiving server will then take your message and look up the recipient to forward that message to the recipient's inbox. If you're wondering who's sending domain has exceeded the max differs and failures per hour message to your inbox, well, that's actually your server. That is actually a protection layer implemented on your server to protect your server from sending spam. Without this protection layer, your server is going to send those emails to the recipient's server, and the recipient's server is most likely going to decline this message. We will go into the reasons for declining this message in more details later on. So, my server is the one sending me domain has exceeded the max differs and failures per hour message? Surprise, surprise, yes. So why is it sending me this message? The reason that your server is sending you this message is because it's trying to warn you. Most likely the reason for sending you this warning is that the rate of messages sent from your inbox is very high. It is also accompanied by a higher failure rate. Basically, your message is going to the person that is supposed to receive this message, the recipient, and this message bounces back to you. And your server has detected the bounce back. When messages keep bouncing back to your server from your domain or your email address, your server starts to think that it should turn on this protection layer to protect you by temporarily disabling sending from your email. The server does this because there's a slight possibility that your email address has been breached. Now you're thinking that this is actually getting in the middle of your work. I won't disagree with you, but I want you first to imagine what would happen if this protection layer was not there? If the receiving server keeps receiving messages from you and keeps bouncing back those messages to you, the recipient server is going to notice that you're ignoring its warning messages. It will realize that this technique of warning is ineffective. It may temporarily block you or permanently block you, or even worse, sending your domain to a blacklist. And that's the worst that could happen. If your email address or domain finds its way to the RBL, or real-time blacklist, you will find it hard to send email to anyone. That's because most mail server providers around the world use these kinds of blacklists in order to prevent spam.
In the coming section of the video, I'm going to explain to you how to fix domain has exceeded the max differs and failures per hour. If you're a regular user or an email user, there isn't much you can do. Only a domain administrator with access to cPanel will be able to solve what's coming. If you're an email user or a regular user, it will still be beneficial for you to continue watching this video to understand what exactly is going on. It will also give you a broader view of what is happening so that you will be able to prevent it in the future. To begin solving this problem, first we need to open cPanel. Go to the email section. You will now see it on your screen. In the email section, you will find a track delivery icon. The track delivery icon will be inside the red circle. Once you click the track delivery icon, it will open a page similar to this one. This screen will include all the emails sent and received from your domain. If you go down to the bottom of the screen, on your left you will find a green check mark. At the end of this row on your right, you will find the word accepted. This means that this email address was sent successfully without any problems. It also means that the receiving server responsible for the recipient's domain has accepted this email without any issues. The yellow triangles on your left is a notification for a warning. The red circle with an exclamation mark is a failure. If you look at the description inside the red circle, this warning is trying to tell you that there's a problem. It's telling you SMTP error from remote mail server after end of data. You are only allowed to send 5 messages per 80 seconds. This message was sent to you by the receiving server. Not to confuse it with the server responsible for serving your emails. Basically, when you sent the email, it went to your server, and your server took your message and has routed your message to the recipient's server. The receiving server noticed that you're sending email at a very high rate that is exceeding its threshold. Earlier in the video, I have mentioned to you that there are many reasons for a server not receiving or declining emails from you. This is one of them. So it gave you a bounce back for this email message and a notification or a warning message. Naturally, as a human being, when we read this kind of warning, we're supposed to respond to it. We respond to such message by decreasing our rate of emails being sent. The description on the red circle you see on your screen now shows the same message that was received earlier. The recipient's server has notified you again with the same warning. This means that the sender of the email did not respond to the first warning. He ignored the first warning and resent the message once more, only to receive the same warning once again. Once more, the recipient server has been sending a warning, and again and again. If you look at the next page, you will see in the red circle that now the description shows that domain has exceeded the max differs and failures per hour. The sender's domain has now reached the 100% limit. This means that any email message leaving your computer going to the server responsible for servicing your email will not forward these messages to the recipient's server. It will instead defer this message or discard it. The protection layer has now rate limited the account at a rate of 100%. If you're the end user or an email user, you should now see on your email account or your email inbox a message from the server notifying you that you have exceeded your limit and you have reached 100% of deferred and failed messages. The purpose of this message is to give you a hint that you have now been rate limited and that the server will no longer accept email messages from you. Usually, this rate limitation has a duration of an hour. It could be more depending on the server administrator's preset settings, but it is usually around an hour. If you're not a server administrator, just a domain administrator with cPanel access, or even an email user or an end user, the coming section of this video is not going to be relevant to you, but it is still useful to watch. Just in case you have this problem in the future, reaching out to technical support, you'll be able to know that they have a way of fixing it. If you ever reach to technical support and they told you that they are not able to fix this problem, they are wrong. You should send them this video immediately. Let's continue. In WHM on the left in the search text box, type terminal. Now click on terminal on the left menu. Terminal window should open like this one. On our website, you should find the command to paste in the terminal window. Please go to our website article listed in the description, copy the command, and paste it in the terminal. AskWael.com should be replaced by whichever domain you like. After hitting enter, this domain and all of its users and email accounts should now be able to send email normally without any restrictions. You have to be aware that lifting the protection does not solve the problem. The original source of the problem still remains to be there. You need to dig in to be able to find the source of the problem and remove this problem so that you no longer become blocked again. To be able to solve this problem and prevent reoccurrence, we need to get back to the track delivery screen. At the bottom of the screen, you should find a tick with an accepted message in the description. Now, this message has been successfully sent without problems. This means that the message above it is the source of the problem. To be able to find why this is happening, you need to track down who's sending this message. In this row, you should find the sender of the message and the recipient's email. You need to get back to the sender to find out why the sender is sending these messages at a very high rate. Normally, a natural person does not send messages at a very high rate. This user could be sending to a lot of recipients at the same time, or using email marketing software to send messages at a very high rate, and the recipient server does not allow this action. If your computer is infected, it could be sending email messages at a very high rate. This is because malicious users use bots to send emails at a very high rate. In all cases, right now, you have a base to start from. You know the email address of the user causing the problem, so now you'll be able to reach out to this user to dig deeper, find more information about what's causing the problem. A piece of advice: if you're using your email for marketing purposes, I do not recommend this behavior. There are many email marketing companies online that you can use for this kind of purpose. One more time, I advise you not to use your email address for email marketing, because this could lead your domain to being blacklisted, and we don't need that to happen now, do we? We have now reached the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.